Welcome to Tuesday's Table Talk. We're excited to have you with us. We have Robin and Shannon.
And well, it's hard
How
because
long
we
have
have
I known you?
we have Shelly, Shauna, and Shannon
I know.
that work in the store.
It
So
gets us all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have Shannon, not Shelly. So we're going to start today by talking about some fun Christmas finishes in the quilting. We'll finish up by talking about some cross stitch questions that people have had. So let's get started with this beautiful quilt behind us, Robin.
I just got this finished. It was just finished quilted last night. My daughter quilted it for me. And it turned out so cute.
Beautiful.
Like I love it.
It's fun.
And who would have thought it came from this pattern?
yeah.
Like I'm impressed with the way,
Yeah.
that just shows you the play you can get on the fabrics you use and how you can
How different a
make
fabric
it look different.
quilt looks.
But this is the Hustle and Bustle line by Moda.
Basic Gray, right?
Basic,
For
yeah,
Moda.
Basic
Oh,
Gray.
nice.
So that was
Beautiful.
fun.
Good
So,
job.
Really
Thank
pretty.
you.
And your daughter quilted that for you, right?
Yes, she did. My cute Mackenzie.
Because Robin's out of the quilting right now till her back completely heals. So
Well, I'm impressed you got that done
Yeah.
with your
Yeah.
back. So good job, Robin.
So it's a good. It's a good. It's a good.
it's a nice,
pattern.
easy one.
Mm-hmm. It's a
Nice.
good one.
and then in the kits, she's going to put a little tip that she has for strip piecing versus.
Yes, because they had you cut out 1 3/4 squares. I'm not about
Oh,
1
yeah.
3/4. So I was able to strip piece them and then trim them to 1 3/4, and it made it a lot faster.
Yeah.
So
So that's
Yeah.
a good tip for
And no triangles.
no,
No triangles. That's true. I hadn't
I
thought
know,
about that.
right?
No
How
triangles.
often do we do a quilt that doesn't have triangles?
Like
Speaking
never?
of triangles,
I know, and I'm thinking that because I finished my quilt for my bed.
this
Oh,
beautiful
gorgeous.
quilt.
And there's a lot of triangles in that
There's
quilt.
a lot of triangles,
A lot
and
of
this we don't
triangles.
have the full spread out, but this is a queen size, right?
It is queen
This
size.
is maple.
It's
cottage
Maple Cottage Designs,
Designs.
an Evergreen Christmas quilt.
Yeah, it's so.
And I was really excited I got it finished. And I was worried because I want it quilted because I want it on my bed.
Yeah.
And I did call my quilter and she's holding me a spot.
Okay.
But
good.
I might need some extra hours in the store to pay for the quilting because I think it's going to cost me a fortune.
Yeah. Are
So-
you having
we're gonna do custom.
Karen.
do it?
Karen's,
Yeah.
I'm just
Okay.
gonna have Karen do
Yeah.
it. My custom quilter is out like 3 months. So
Yeah,
Oh.
I was. That's
It's
what I was
not.
thinking. I thought, well, if you're doing Chelsea, she's
Yeah, no,
Out
I'm
of
not.
ways,
No, I'm not
but-
doing Chelsea. But
yeah.
yeah, Karen said she'd
She
hold it.
does
So,
a great job.
and one of the reasons I called Karen is I did finish a project for the store, and I volunteered to do this project. I was upstairs with Sandy, and she's like, "I need somebody to do this," and I volunteered because this is a Maple Cottage design, and it kind of matches my quilt.
Yeah.
So this is just a little wall hanging wreath. And it's, like I said, Maple Cottage design, and it's called an Evergreen Christmas wreath. And
Love it.
there'll be a little bow that goes on the bottom
Yeah.
of it. And we will have kits.
Yeah, we've
We
got the
have
kits
kits
all
for
ready to
these in the
go.
store.
Oh, that's gonna be.
So I must confess that this is a kit that I had them cut last year, and I picked the fabrics and stuff because I was going to take it home and sew it.
And she didn't get done.
I didn't get it done, so I said, we have these kits, Shannon.
Let's get this done. I know.
Let's get this done. So she was sweet enough
And
to
it
do that.
was, again, a lot of triangles, but it was not difficult.
Yeah.
I could have probably done it in a day,
Mm-hmm.
but it was one of those things where I kind of cut it out, and then I did other stuff, and I came back, and then I sewed it. But it didn't take long to put together. The pattern, though, is wrong.
Oh,
And I think because people get confused between
Mm-hmm.
how much an 1/8 of a yard is and how much of a 1/6 of a yard is. I think they think an 1/8 is more.
oh.
And so it calls for an 1/8 of a yard for this.
And we need a 6.
And if you have an 8, it wants you to cut 3 2-inch strips, and an 1/8 of a yard is 4.5 inches. A 1/6 of a yard would get
Yeah.
you that. But I was able to have enough. I didn't have a lot left, but I was able
But
to
you were
have
able
enough.
to get it with it. Okay.
Yeah, so just kind of a heads up when you kind of watch for those things. And we hadn't put this together, so we had no idea that the
Yeah.
pattern was wrong. But
Okay.
anyway, sometimes you have to watch it. And the other finish that I cannot take credit for that I took home was my cute daughter, Nicole. She really likes wool, and so she got this table runner done. And she's really into, she loves those
Goodness.
different stitches. So like the little, I don't even know what they're called. I don't know. I think this is like a feather stitch.
yeah.
And so she kind of It didn't tell you what kind of floss, so she just kind of picked her own floss and did it, and I think it turned out really, really
And
pretty.
so this is done on toweling,
yes.
which is, if you're not familiar with toweling, it's already bound on the two edges, and it just comes, so you cut it whatever length you want your table runner, and then you can just leave it plain for kind of that country cottage look, and just turn under the ends, and you've got your table runner. And we have that in lots of colors.
We do.
That's pretty.
Isn't
So that's
it
a beautiful
cute?
table runner for Christmas.
Yeah. So I said to her on Sunday, I said, I'm going to do table talk. Can you get this done? And she had one side done. And so she worked really hard.
She did.
She has a full-time job. So she worked really hard and she got it all finished. And so this is a buttermilk basin pattern. And it's just called Vintage Table Runners December. So I think they've got one every month.
Yeah.
And I think we were looking at kitting the January one too.
Yeah, there was the January one we're going to
So
do.
we'll see if we can get that one done. But this one I've already got cut. We just need to get it in packages.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we'll work on
Christmas
that.
at my house.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed on Facebook yesterday, everybody kept posting Michael Bublé's new video for one of his Christmas songs.
Oh.
And I was like, people are ready, it's like, hey, we're breaking out into Christmas. So,
We're ready for Christmas.
okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about cross stitch. Okay, so we had so many people joining us for the stitch along and a lot of people with COVID and all the shutdowns and everything that we had for a period of time have gotten back into cross stitch, that handwork, and are really enjoying it. And so we've had some questions on that. Our first question was,
what size of the needles is the best for most cross stitch projects, like your pillow kits,
okay,
or just generally?
yeah. So my pillow kits that we sell in the store come with the needle that's appropriate for that count fabric, but I usually stitch on between 14 count Aida or 28 count linen and 32 count or 16 count Aida. So in those, I would use a 26 needle personally, because I like the smaller needle that'll glide through the fabric. It just goes through the fabric nicer. But the needles come in a wide range. So if you're using a 10 count fabric, you'd probably want to use like a size 22 needle, which is a bigger gauge needle, has a bigger eye, because you're going to use more strands of floss. I like to use the smallest needle that I can get the desired number of strands in.
Okay.
So if I'm stitching with 2 strands of floss, I can get that in a 26 tapestry needle. And is that kind of the
I've only
gauge?
ever used the 26.
26,
'cause I
yeah.
stitch on
The linen.
32 count linen almost every time.
And you can go to a 24 if the eye is just a little bit too small for you on a 26, but I like the 26 tapestry. But it would depend on your count of fabric that you're stitching on. So you can go anywhere from a 22 to a 28. We do have 28 tapestry needles as well. And that's good if you're stitching with 1-ply floss.
So does the number associate with the size of the eye or the length of the needle, or
the diameter of the needle, how heavy the needle is, and the eye changes with the diameter,
the size?
Yeah, size of the needle. So the higher number, the smaller the needle. So,
Okay.
but yeah.
So the thinner.
Yeah, the thinner, the finer the needle if it's the higher number.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second question. We would love to know the difference in cloth count, like how you count it, or how to differentiate.
So Aida cloth goes anywhere from 6 count, which is called clostern, but it's 6 count up to 22 count in Aida cloth. Now, then linens go anywhere from 18 count linen to 40. I know it goes to at least 40 count.
Yeah.
And I think there may be some higher than that. But so the difference is that linen, routinely, you are stitching over 2 threads. So if you're stitching on a 32 count linen, you're not getting 32 stitches per inch, because you're stitching over 2 threads. So you're actually only getting 16 stitches in that inch. And so your linen, if you're going to go over 2, and you don't want to do it on linen, you want to convert it to an Aida cloth, you just cut that number in half. So if the pattern says 32 count linen, choose a 16 count Aida. and the size will finish the same.
Right.
So as I get older, it's harder for me to see the linen, but I love the look of linen. And stitching over too, you do too. I love it.
I love
But
I love linen. They do have some Ada that's called linen now.
yeah, they
that
do.
has a linen look. And
Yeah,
it's really pretty.
it is really pretty. It's that natural color linen.
In fact, I think one of these
is done on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. We've done our hometown holiday, which I'll have Kathy get that so we can show that.
Yeah.
Because that kind of goes with our Christmas theme.
Yeah.
That is done on a 32 count linen. Now, linen Ada does not come in 16 count, but we've had people doing it on the 14 count linen because the color's the same. It has that nice texture. Do you want to get that hometown holiday off the wall, Kath? And they've really enjoyed that. It's a pretty look. And it's a different feel than most of your Adas, but that's a good product. While I'm talking about linen, I'm going to jump ahead because I know that there was a question on magnifiers and lights. And so this is my favorite. Like I have probably 6 magnifiers at home that I use. Yeah. Oh, here, let's show this. This is just one of our favorites. So this is called Hometown Holiday. And there are, I think we've put 6 of the buildings from the series in this chart, in this design.
Right.
But there's lots
There are
more.
so many.
There's everything from the filling station,
Right
Pop's filling station, there's coffee shop, there's quilt shop. Anyway, so we've done 6 of them.
Yeah.
But
How many different
there are so many different
kinds of that.
buildings that they have that you can stitch on, so people can personalize it to what,
Right. That's what makes it
There's
fun.
like, Kathy did this one and it has a needlework shop and a bookstore. Kathy's a real reader
And my
she does
daughter's
a lot of
doing one like
needlework.
this, and she has a dog, and so she
Yeah.
did the pet. She's put the
There's
pet
a pet shop. Yeah. So
there's lots
it's
of
been,
those.
and there's a firehouse that's really cute. So there's just lots of different things. This is done on linen, but you can do it on Ada. So,
I have a question when I saw this piece though. So like because they're all single individual pattern, how do you just finish, for example, on that side, do you just finish at the tree and then continue?
so the pattern stops here,
Yeah.
for instance, and then Kathy just counted over 5 squares to start the next chart.
Okay.
So in between each of the buildings, there's like 5 spaces between. So your
really
linen
cute.
cut, you've got to decide how many buildings you want to do. This one, because we did 6 buildings, it's 10.5, I think by 39 inches is what you need. And that gives you your 3-inch border all around. So if you were going to do 7, then you would need a little bit longer
Wider.
piece. But for 6 houses, that does it. For 6 buildings, I should say. But yeah, so just counting, stitching, and then just breaking it up by 5 in between, it gives it a good spacing. So that's what we recommend there.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I'm going to tell you about what I use to stitch on linen. So like I said, I have like 5 or 6 magnifiers at home, and finally settled on this one. When I got this one, I'm like, whoop, the other ones are gone. So this is by Daylight, and I love this because it has different settings. That's the highest, goes down as far as the light goes.
Nice, yeah.
Okay. So I can have the lights off in my front room because my husband likes to watch TV with the lights off. He's kind of a mole, I tell him, because he likes the dark, and I'm like, come home and I want light.
Light,
you
yeah.
know?
Right.
But it also has not only the light, if I can get that up, but it has a magnifier here.
That's
So the light
nice.
ring is around it and this magnifier, and I can just adjust it to however I want it so I can see what I'm working on.
Oh, that's
Love
nice.
Love this.
Really nice.
Because the other ones I've had them that hang around my neck. I had a big crook neck one that was off the floor. And although I liked that, this one is like,
I like that a lot.
The Mercedes-Benz to
I
me.
feel like you can
Yes.
move that a little bit too, because I like to stitch in my husband's spot.
Uh-huh.
But then when he comes upstairs and wants his spot, I don't have as much light, and it's
Right.
hard to try to move my big lamp. But if I had this, I could just set
And
it there
so-
next to me.
I stitch with a little lap desk. You know, they have the little
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
pad on the bottom and just a
You
little.
can put your laptop on.
Yeah, that you can put your laptop on. Well, that's what I'll put on my lap when I'm on the couch or in the chair. And then this sits on that, has a little groove that my phone sits in, or I might use it for my scissors and that. And this has a lot of weight to this base. And so when you're tilting it like this, it's not like tipping forward or however and it just sits on my
It's not floppy.
top there.
I feel like I need to upgrade.
So yeah, me too.
I love this, and it's you know, they're not inexpensive, but if you do a lot of stitching, and
It's a
the
tool
life,
that you
it
need.
just saves me.
So
Investment.
something to ask your husbands
For
to give you for
Christmas.
Christmas.
I'm feeling like
Or
that's gonna be on-
wives,
that's
husbands
gonna
or
be on
wives.
my
for
So
Christmas.
this one is corded. They also sell them, and they're a little bit more expensive, that are rechargeable.
Oh, that would be really
Yeah.
nice.
We're all about
That are rechargeable. So you don't have
Because
to have it
that's what
plugged
happens
in.
is I always take my cross stitch on a plane and the light is not good.
No. Yeah,
I
that's
don't
true.
have enough.
They have, and look how it folds flat.
Yeah.
So it just folds
Easy
up to
put
go
in a
in my little,
carry-on or
in my stitching bag,
And
in
who
my
did you
box.
say make that?
This is Daylight Company.
Daylight. Did you buy it online?
We have it here.
Oh,
In
we
the
have
store.
it here.
Do?
Oh,
Yep.
Jason's buying me a Christmas
I
present
was gonna
today.
say it might be early.
I ordered them in because I wanted one and Kathy wanted one, and then I've ordered them in again because people have liked them. So
Right? Yeah.
Do you have?
You're
do
gonna
we
get.
have both the corded and non-corded?
we do.
Very
good.
nice. And you know, I talked about that once. Is that for Christmas and my birthday, I like a new tool.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's a
So-
really great,
That's a
A
great
good
Christmas
tool.
tool. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Robin, do you want to show yours though?
Yeah. I'll show mine. Mine is like
On the
the
neck one.
a little bit
All options we
more
need.
inexpensive.
Well, your
Mine
eyes,
is my.
your eyes can handle the
Well, I'm all about
not needing the magnifier.
being taking it with me to go.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is just the Beam and Read, and I just got it off Amazon, and so it, but this
Lights
is
up.
my magnifying glass because my glasses, that's what happens as we get older.
Yes.
Okay.
So I got my Walmart glasses, so I'll
Yep.
trade them out, and here's my light to go.
Yep.
Because that's the thing with cross stitch, you have to have good light.
Yes.
And you have to be able to
To
see.
see.
And some fabric, depending, like I have one that I'm working on, and it's been a couple years because it has glitter in the fabric.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a little sparkly.
Yeah.
So
But
I
it does
have to
tricks with
have.
your eyes.
Oh,
yeah.
it does, and you'll sit there and go, see that?
is
So
that?
I'm moving
Yeah.
on today.
Yeah.
So yeah.
How about you, Shannon? Do you use just a lamp you said?
I do, and I don't have anything fancy. Now I know about these fancy things. My life is going to change.
Investment.
But I have just used those headlamps that
Yeah.
people, and I've just put that around my neck and done it. But I have put it on my head before, but then I have to remember not just put my
Yeah.
head up
Look
and
at
look at
people.
somebody because then I blind them. But
Okay.
I know. So now I'm going to have to. I think I'm going to go for one of those daylights though. That.
Yeah. I love
And my
definitely
family,
one.
none of my family watches Table Talk, so Jason won't even know he bought it for me.
There we go.
It'll be a surprise. He goes and likes the Table Talks, but he doesn't watch them. So
He doesn't want to watch his wife.
I know.
What's
I
up?
have tried.
My husband doesn't watch
I have
them either.
tried to
That's
really,
funny.
but you know what? My parents watch faithfully.
Do they?
Every Tuesday, they log on to, and
Right.
surprisingly, they found it on YouTube.
Oh,
They watch it on
that's
YouTube
fun.
every.
So I guess
Time.
you can get this for your dad because he does cross
My
stitch
dad,
too.
yeah.
He's
my
got
dad
the
is-
whole setup though.
Yeah.
He's got him. Yeah.
I know. Well, can I tell a funny story about my dad? So I brought, because I wasn't sure what we were going to talk about. So I brought this. This is a cross stitch. I need to get it framed, and I just haven't taken it in to get it framed. But years ago, I started this, and this is an interesting linen piece because some of it is over 2 and some of it is over 1.
Oh.
And when I was doing it, I did it over 1.
Oh my word! Look
These-
at those.
This geese,
That is
and somewhere I had messed up, and it was when my girls were little, and it was driving my dad crazy because I was not finishing this project. So he said to me, "Can I just take that home?" And I said, "Sure." He says, "I'm going to find it. I'm going to fix it." So he took it home, and he ended up finishing the project. He didn't give it back. So the funny thing of this. The funniest thing about this is, so I had done, like these people and, some of this. And so at the bottom, he stitched E.L. Sears, his own work in the year 2010. And at first I was kind of like irritated. I'm like, Dad, I had started that. I was going to finish it. But then I just think it's a funny story now. So I just left
is.
it.
I love it.
Yeah. So
fun.
Oh, yeah. That's,
Anyway.
that's interesting. Not often do you see two
Right.
over two and over one.
And it's a really old pattern. I couldn't even tell you what it is.
Well, I
because
know
I've
it's
had
a
it for
shepherd's
years.
bush because I can recognize these characters.
I
as
don't
one
actually.
of
I
her-
don't think it is.
You don't think so?
No, it was
Oh.
somebody else. It came in a
Okay.
book, and my sister-in-law
Yeah.
had the book, and like I said, and I'm just going to take it and get it framed because
Yeah.
it's been hanging around because he finished in 2010, so that was a long time
Yeah.
ago. But
I love that does he always put his name on his work?
sometimes, not always, but he did because it had a space for it this
Right,
time.
right.
But the other funny thing about my dad is we X the opposite way.
Yes.
And we argue about which way is the appropriate way to X. And I asked Sandy because I'm like, Sandy's a designer and she and I X the same way.
But Kathy X is the opposite.
But Sandy did tell me, she's like, I don't think there's a right or a wrong way. So
I don't think, as long as you're consistent,
Right?
it doesn't matter. Yeah.
But when he took this over, he had to X the opposite way because
And
I had
that's
started
hard.
it. And it was hard.
That's
for him.
hard when Kathy's tried to finish something of mine before and she's like, never again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
Next question.
Yeah.
How do you organize your floss? Some people say that they hate the little cardboard bobbins.
Mhm.
Is there a better solution?
Okay, Robin,
So
share some
this
how you
is
do.
what I do per project. So I put my floss in a bag and I label them because I don't want to have to search and find it. And then each one of my projects goes on either one of these clips or I have run out of and I have just tied cute ribbon. So I'll take a cute ribbon and tie them together. But then I buy all the floss for each project and put it with that project and it stays there until it's done. So that's what I do. But if I'm using DMC, I do wind it on the bobbins because I can see that little number at the top and then I can organize it in.
Yeah. So, and I've done that, especially with your fancy threads.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I don't want to wind my fancy thread, my
No, I don't
floss
either.
onto
Mhm.
a bobbin. But
Right.
so this is how I organize my DMC. So I just put them in on those little paper bobbins, and they're not.
So yours is by color, not by
Well,
number.
okay. So here's the story on that.
Yeah, I'd love to know.
I decided one day, I saw someone had organized theirs by color instead of by number, and so I thought I'm going to do that. Well, that's lovely, but then when you're looking for, I'm going back to the numbering.
Right.
Oh,
Because
but
that
mine are
makes
by
it
number.
look pretty.
It looks lovely,
I know,
but,
it looks really
but
nice.
for finding that color,
Yeah.
The
But when I'm
coloring.
designing, I like it this way
Oh, yeah.
because
Yeah.
I'm looking for a blue and looking for that right shade or whatever. I'm not looking for a number because I'm designing.
Right.
Because you
And
don't
so-
know what the number is.
Right, I don't know what the number is.
Yeah.
But, so that's that. How I do that.
How about you, Shannon?
So I do mine that way too, the way Sandy has. My dad is a total bag person, and he even puts his DMC in bags.
Yeah.
So all of his is on rings according to number and in a bag. So if you don't like the bottoms, you can try that. I tried it. I hated it, but I like it, like Robin said,
For
for
a
those
project.
over dyed.
Yeah.
Or for a
floss.
project, yeah.
And for a project, I have a smaller little container that I put my
I do too. One of
flosses
the
in.
smaller that holds the bobbins, but there's just not as
Yeah.
many compartments.
Right.
But they discontinued those.
oh, they
We
did.
used to carry those little small ones,
Yeah.
and they stopped making them, and that just drove me crazy.
Yeah.
Because I have one of those too for
Yeah.
projects.
Yeah.
And there were some ladies that shopped in the store that they would come in and buy multiples of them because every project had its own little
Own little.
case. But, so this is how I organized my hand-dyed threads.
And is it alphabetical?
No, I do them. So, like, here's my yellows gentle art.
Oh, yeah.
So I just kind of put all my yellows together, twist them, and then put them in. And then I've got my greens, my reds, and my Weeks Dye Works.
Oh, so now you've got those on a little ring.
So my Weeks Dye Works, I've put them each color group on a ring. So my blues are all on a little ring, and then I store them this way. Because I know when it calls for a Weeks Dye Works certain color, well, that's going to be in the brown family or whatever.
Right.
And this way I did used to keep them in the bags, but my ring of overdyes was this big, huge tire
Right.
of bags, and looking for one, I was just getting overwhelmed by it. So that's how I organized my overdyes.
That's nice.
I like
but
that.
those bags, Kathy, would you grab one of Lori Holt's new card files from over there? And we'll show that. Because that is something that if you're using the floss away bags, particularly where you're using the overdyed threads, and they are routinely by name, not by number. I mean, they have a
Right.
number, but you're
Right.
usually looking for it
You're
by
looking
the
for a name.
So Lori Holt designed and came out with a new product that It's So Emma carries. Whoops. I was going to take these out, but now I've just messed it up. Anyway, so it's a little drawer file.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to take it out so I can kind of show you. So it has little individual cards.
Oh, yeah.
They're
Oh.
alphabetical.
Uh-huh.
Now her little
That
stitchery
would be
cards.
a really nice way to.
She has
organize
them.
that.
There's like card set A, B, C. But you can put your little floss away bags
That's a really good
with
idea.
your hand dyed
Right.
behind the letter. And then when you're looking for charcoal, you just go to
Yeah,
the C's
I'm
and all your C's will be
I'm
there.
smelling another Christmas gift for me.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so these come in different colors. This is red. I think there's blue and green. I can't remember what all the
And what
colors
a cute way to store it.
are. Yeah. And it's
Yeah,
cute.
and it's transportable. Like if you needed
Yeah.
to take it somewhere,
Yep.
easy to take.
Yeah. And it just is a little, like a little
Ah.
library card file.
That's
And would look so
adorable.
cute up on your,
It would look really cute
Shelf.
on your little shelf.
and you can put like in here, you could say Weeks Dye Works. You could have one for your gentle art.
Mhm.
That would be great.
So that's kind of a fun way, I think, for using the floss. And these are called floss away bags.
yeah, I think
So,
that is a really
Anyway,
good.
that's kind of a fun use of
Mhm.
that.
And one thing too, and I think most of them come with the closures on the side, but they
Yeah.
have had some on the top before. My dad hates the one on the top.
The ones on the top. Yeah.
The ones on the
No, I
side,
know.
he said, are the way to go. So
I like this.
Another question.
Yeah.
They are pretty similar, this too. So people ask, how do you get pretty stitches, railroading, stick and stab sewing methods?
Okay.
And
so
another thing is like, how do you keep your back look tidy?
I'm going to talk about my number one tip for having your stitches lay nice on your fabric and look pretty. Okay. If you're stitching with 2-ply floss, or if you're stitching with 6 strands of floss, okay. If you'll take your floss in your finger, I don't know if you can see this, and you just tap the end of your cut piece of floss, you'll see it kind of blossoms. Okay. And then you take one strand and pull it out, and that'll just fall down. And then I set it on my shoulder, and then I take one more strand out, okay? And then I take these and I put them back together before I stitch. I don't do this.
Why?
And then
Because
have
they
someone
just-
hold it and
Right.
okay, so I've got my 2 strands here, but the floss comes from the factory with a twist in it, okay? And if you take your strands out one at a time and put them back together, it takes that twist out of the floss, and so your stitches lay nicer. They fill the area nicer than if they were twisted. They're side by side.
And I
And
think you
so
get less knots that
You,
way.
you get less knots, less tangles. So when you're stitching, you've noticed, I'm sure, Robin, that your floss will start to twist because of the way anyway, I've
Right.
tried to figure out what do I
Right.
do that makes my, and so I will take my needlework and I'll take, Robin's got hers here, and I'll hang my needle down and let it untwist
yeah, I do that too.
periodically.
Now, something I saw the other day that from watching one of Kimberly Jolly's videos, she will actually, I can't remember if she takes the needle off or not, but she'll periodically go through and take
just-
it all the way down
Yeah.
and then bring it back up.
To
Oh.
get that. To get that.
So to get that
because
separation.
your stitches will just lay so much prettier
Mhm.
if you just don't get that twist in your thread. So that's my number one tip.
Mhm.
I sometimes will use a thread conditioner and sometimes I don't.
I didn't even know you could buy a thread conditioner. There you go.
It's you just rub your
Learning new
run your
things every
floss across
day.
it, but
Right.
I don't have a lot of experience with it, knowing if a project looks different done with it or without. I don't know.
Right.
So,
Right.
A lot of it is preference.
and then on the back with cross stitch, you don't knot. You never tie a knot.
Right.
You weave your stitches under your previous
Do you want
stitch
one of
when you
these?
finish. Let's
The
look at this back one of
that
this
is
one.
So
So-
beautiful.
Emerald, if you can kind of zoom in there on that blue, you can see where it's looks thicker in some areas, and it's because he has finished, and so he's run his threads under previous those stitches.
The navy color.
That couching, so that and so there's no knots on the back of this. Now, these stitches are done all in one direction for your first cross, and then you go back and cross it the other direction. So
This is
one,
over-dyed.
your back's always going to look neater than if you're using over-dyed threads, because over-dyed threads, you are crossing every stitch in order to get the nice effect of that over-dyed thread. And so your back looks like it's been stitched almost, because there's so, because you're crossing every stitch as you go. So, but just not, but tying,
beautiful.
couching underneath, not having long strands,
Yeah.
between,
And this is my daughter Erica. She did this, and we had this
We had
pattern.
this,
We had this
yeah.
pattern, and she just hasn't gotten it. But her goal was to have her backs look like grandpa's.
Yeah.
And the other day she had picked this up and she was just finishing it, and she was starting this way, and she's like, I don't know where I'm at. I said, because that's the back. So she went, I'm stitching like grandpa now. So
There you go.
that was the goal.
Yeah, she does beautiful work.
She does.
And she does hers on Ada, but using
Yes.
that kind of modeled Ada,
Right. And
gives you that nice effect, almost that
I
linen
think this
light,
is kind of the linen-y.
Yeah, this
this
is that
is a
linen
linen-y
Ada
Ada.
cloth.
Oh, that's nice. Look how beautiful her back is.
Yeah, her back on that is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's just don't knot.
Yeah, she
Don't
does a
leave
really
long
good job.
tails of floss, because they'll come through.
And this was my non-crafty daughter, and then she picked up cross stitch, and I was just so proud.
Yeah, she's done all, and she's gone on
Crazy.
fire. She even started a YouTube.
So yes,
floss
we
tube.
did. We started a floss tube. It's called the Green Needles, because our last name is Green. But she's in nurse practitioner school, so she's been super, super busy. So we haven't done one for a while, but she wants us to rev back up. We're going to
Yeah.
probably start filming again in December. So
Fun.
Do you also just kind of organize your floss along the way you're cross stitching? You just take care of it to make it look nice at the end. Do you have to take that time to do that?
When
Yes.
I am a very messy stitcher, my tray, I have a little tray that I throw my floss on when I'm stitching. What I've cut off, didn't use, throw it there, and then after I'm done with the project, then I'm winding it all back on and putting it away. But
and I'm the opposite.
I don't.
But
doubt
you know that
I
because
do
that's
know that. I
my
do know
my
that.
personality.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wind stuff back on as I go, and if I'm done with the color, I wind it back on and I keep it.
And I'll have
organized.
2 strands left that I didn't use, and I throw it in the garbage. And Kathy will stitch for me, and she'll send back skeins of floss with 2 little strands wrapped on it to give back to me. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
now my hand dyed threads, that's different.
Right. No,
Those
DMC.
Yeah.
I hang on to those.
I don't. Yeah.
And I think I don't. Maybe you guys have a tip for this, but this is my problem: is I have so many projects that I start, and then I a lot of times just buy new floss. Like my overdyed floss, I try to keep a list on my
Yeah.
phone, so I know. But my DMC, I don't, and then I end up with 5 of the same colors. Do you guys?
But do you
that?
ever end up with no 310 black?
Yes, I'm always out of black or
Always.
white.
Or white?
Yes,
I'm
black.
like,
Always.
well, how can I
Yes.
not have 310 black?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Always. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you guys keep lists of your DMC?
I have an app in my phone,
Do you? I
That I
think I
keep
really
it
need
on.
to do that.
Interesting.
and it
Is
you
it a
know,
specific app for floss?
it's for needlework, yeah.
Oh,
And it
I'll have
has
to look at that.
has on this app, it has all of the hand dyed threads, all
Oh.
the silks, all of that. So I can click on my week's dye works and see which ones I have. And you can even, when you have 5 skeins of something, it'll tell you have 5 of that.
Oh, see?
So I mean,
do need that.
but it's just, am I always good about updating it if I buy a new floss?
Mhm.
I'm not.
I guess that's the thing is you would have to keep up with it so you would know.
So it's only
Yeah.
as good as you are at keeping up with that.
Mhm.
But yeah, my DMC, I'll end up with multiples because I do keep my floss for that project with that project, and maybe I'll start another one. But
I'm really good at starting projects.
I
Not
love,
so good at finishing them.
love to start a new project. I love it.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to
Oh,
clean
and I
out.
thought we'd show this little, this is a needle minder. And this is one of Lori Holt's needle minders.
Mhm.
And I like the little quilt block.
I love the
That's
quilt
cute.
block.
Yeah, that's
I
my
think
favorite
that's
one
fun.
of her needle minders, and we carry
Mhm.
these in the store. So, and it has this magnet.
And you have to be careful because I set this on the counter over here.
Oh yeah,
And it came right off.
yeah. Our counters are metal.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it'll.
I have
it'll-
set things on there, and you're struggling to pull it off
Pull it
the
off,
counter.
yeah.
It sticks really good.
But
That's a really good one.
they're nice for, and these will even hold your small pair of scissors. Will
Yeah.
stick to them. Your little embroidery
Oh, yeah.
scissors.
I've done
They
that,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Robin, I was just curious, what is this pattern? I love this little wreath that's
This
on the.
is this
Yeah,
cute.
she showed this one last.
I
she's-
bought that
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Yes,
look
I bought
how
that one.
cute
I
it
haven't
is.
started it. Yeah,
Yeah.
very cute. That
Yeah,
jingle
so
all the
this
way.
is my oops because I started it. I started it too close, not realizing because I always start at the top, 3 inches in,
Yeah.
and calculate
Yeah.
it that way. And I was just so excited to get started on the house. I started on the house, and then I started going up and went, oh, I'm not gonna have enough room. And instead of unpicking, I turned my fabric around and started over.
Start the other side.
You can unpick later.
Yeah.
when I get to it, I'll
Yeah.
unpick.
Yeah.
Cute.
So we appreciate you. I hope we haven't kept you too long here in today's table talk, but if
You
there's
invited the
anything-
wrong people. We
right.
talk too much.
We like to talk, right? We like to talk. If you have any questions or anything you'd like us to talk about, just shoot us some messages. I am trying to convince Janet Walker. Here's a shout out to Janet. One of our Janice Walker to come on. She'd be awesome.
Oh my gosh.
So hopefully we'll have one
She
of our
needs to come on.
fun
customer.
customers coming on soon. So yeah, Janice is here a lot and we love her stuff. So if you'd like to share something with us or have us talk about something, let us know. Thank you very much.